Good morning, my beautiful followers. How's everyone doing today? Monday. I just got done having a walk and juice and all that morning stuff. Yesterday I was not on here, not writing. I have had a little bit of a head cold, so I have been under the weather yesterday. I felt like crap, and so I just paused for myself. I just took a day to just allow my body to rest and get what it really needed. So hopefully I can get through this live stream without coughing. No, I don't have the Rona. I'm just a head cold, just a normal everyday head cold. It happens. It still happens. So anyway, I was thinking about kind of my message for the day, and it actually came in the other day. I had done a video on, I forget even what it was on exactly, but I was sharing some of my expectations in some of my relationships and the little things. That's what it was on. It was on the little things that people in my world, in your world, that really add up for the positive or the negative. So that was that. And somebody made a comment about expectations under it. So thank you for that person who did actually make that comment, because it stirred and even if people disagree, it's always great to get like a good conversation going. And then recently I've been really noticing lots of expectations, and so somebody was actually hitting on me for having expectations, saying you should have no expectations. And I actually mulled this over, and then yesterday I was gonna write and live stream about it, but again I was like, I just took the day off, took the day to take care of self. But I mulled it over because this is actually something we hear all the time in the spiritual community, is we shouldn't have expectations. Expectations are a negative thing. And I want to say that that's a load of fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. We have to have expectations. Expectations are required in our lives. It's what you're doing with the expectations, how you're having them. There's ways that expectations are healthy and very unhealthy. But when we go from this spiritual idea of no expectation, what that creates is a lack of clarity of what we want, what we desire in our life. When we have no expectations, there is no forward movement. There is no growth. There is no noticing of ego. When there's no expectations, we also can't fucking manifest. So if you say, I don't have any expectations ever, I just don't do expectations, then basically you're saying you don't want to manifest anything in your world. Because when we manifest, when we step into manifestation, and I'm talking straight up manifestation, like money, relation, whatever it is you're trying to call into your world, if you have no expectation that the universe is going to bring that, guess what? It's not going to come. When we manifest, there is a level of expectation that the universe is listening, is hearing, is bringing us exactly what we want. There is an expectation in that. And there's also expectations in relationships. To go into any relationship, and I mean any relationship, but particularly romantic relationships, and go, there's no expectations, and that is a big fucking lie, and that's a massive lie I'm hearing more and more people say. There's no expectations. I don't have any expectations of you. And what ends up happening is we hide behind the spiritual thought process of there's no expectations. But underneath, there are expectations. We all have expectations. And when we don't speak about our actual expectations, they become hidden expectations, and then it becomes incredibly unhealthy. We all also have hidden expectations too. These are the expectations we don't realize until sometimes we're in the middle of something, and then that's something that needs to come to the table in a relationship, where we're going, okay, yeah, now I didn't realize I had this expectation, but I do. But to say we have no expectation, this lowers our vibration, and it lowers our just desire in our life. So if I have no expectations, that means that the people in my life can treat me however they want. I have no expectation for love, connection, for for proper treatment. I'm not holding anybody accountable. There's no difficult conversations happening then. There's no difficult conversations happening. Now, there is a level of expectations in relationship and in life that is incredibly unhealthy too. So that's really where this spiritual kind of principle comes from, is no expectations. And it's because a lot of us have these negative expectations with partners, family, friends, and we go, they must do this, they must do that. And those are oftentimes these hidden expectations that we don't speak about. And we put these expectations on others. So it's not that we need to be having expectations for our partner or lover, but it's that we need to have expectations for ourselves, and then verbalize these expectations, and then have the people in our lives really meet us at those expectations. So yes, if I'm in a romantic relationship, I have an expectation that I'm not being treated like shit. I have an expectation that there's love in the relationship, that there's connection, that we're talking. I do have those expectations. And so if somebody is going to step into my life, or one of my clients' lives, as I teach my clients, like, yes, they do have to meet my expectations in the way they treat me and the way they connect to me. Now we get into a negative situation here. If I was to say that I have an expectation that this person loves me this way and this amount of time and attention and money they spend on, like, those are negative expectations. Those are putting your expectations on somebody else versus going, no, I have these expectations for myself, and I'm going to verbalize this in the relationship. And then if they want to meet my expectations, that's great. They can stay in my life. If they're going to choose not to, then they also don't have to stay in my life. But when we say I have no expectations, we actually lower our trust in the universe. We lower our trust in those around us. We actually lower our desire for growth. Because it is okay to have expectations as long as you know what they are, as long as you're checking your ego. Now, others in our lives are not responsible for always meeting our expectations. This is the unhealthiness. And also, we need to be able to speak about these expectations and the unspoken ones. There's been lots of times when I've had friends, family, whatever it might be, we might go on an event, we'll go do something, and then there's this unspoken expectation that doesn't get met. You're feeling, oh, well, they didn't do this with me, they didn't talk with me like this, there was this, and this that didn't happen, but you didn't verbalize it. So that is a moment of learning for self. That's a moment of ego check for self, of going, I had these expectations, and I didn't verbalize them, and so that's on me. That is on me. But to say we have no expectations, why are we lowering ourselves like that? Why are we basically going, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to set any intention for my life? Because intention is another level of expectation when we're manifesting. It is. Like, no, like the universe does bring me what I desire. The universe is always having my back in one way or another. Those are expectations. Those are straight up expectations. And so if you don't want to have any expectations, if you want to hide behind this spiritual bullshit, and yes, it is spiritual bullshit at some level, because we can use a spiritual term to hide behind anything. There is a way out of anything with a spiritual kind of backing. And we want to hide behind you shouldn't have any expectations in your life, then that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad to me. We should have expectations. We need to check our expectations. We need to see if we're having too high of expectations, if we are putting our shit on other people, if we're speaking our expectations, if they're realistic expectations, if it's an important expectation. These are all conversations to be having in the relationship, but also with self. It's not about the expectations we have of others. It's the expectation for what we want for our lives and what we're going to accept in our lives. And then it's as the universe brings new people to our lives, Are they meeting those things that we've set up for ourselves? It's not putting our expectations on others. It's going, no, like I have an expectation that this is what my relationships are going to look like. This is how I'm treated. I'm sorry, but if we want to say there's no expectations, then there's no expectation that you know, a husband isn't going to beat the shit out of his wife. Like, that's an expectation. That there's no violence. That's an expectation. It's a healthy expectation. So it's not that you can't have expectations. Expectations are required. They are required for our lives, for us to really reach in and really have that next level life. It's just how you're going about them. It's how you're going about those expectations, if you're owning them, if you're really checking your ego on them. And if you're really having those conversations that are so important to have about expectations. And if you have a million expectations in a relationship, then it's checking, are those really all important to you? Are those all really important to you? Can anybody live up to those? But to completely cut off our expectations is just us hiding from ourselves. Because at the end of the day, even if you go, no, I don't have any expectations, I'm totally letting go, at your core, you do have expectations for your life. You do have expectations for your relationships, and you should. You should go, no, I do not accept anything other than this. I do not accept anything but respect. I do not accept anything but abundance. I am not available for this, whatever it is. So just own your expectations, particularly in relationships. And then get on board with your expectations of the universe. Because if you don't want any expectations in your life, then you're not going to manifest anything. You're not going to be able to manifest anything because you have no expectation of anything coming to you. So that's my little soapbox for the day. So on another note, I have just a bunch of in-person workshops going. I'm kind of drained with all the online shit. I'm ready to see my people in person. And so if you are in the DFW area, then check out, especially if you're a woman, I have a soul mapping workshop coming up that is in person. It's always a really great event, really connected, really beautiful. That's happening at the end of February. And then I have my Sensory of Silence workshop, which I'm really excited about. This is going to be a whole new level of workshop where we get into our senses, we get into our bodies, and it's all done silently except for me talking you through a couple points. But it is a completely experiential workshop. It's going to be so beautiful. So get on the list for that before it sells out, because of COVID, we have limited numbers for all our workshops. Other than that, if you are a woman, I just put out a new energy work program. So just head over to addisonbell.net, check it all out. You can fill out my application to work with me one-on-one. I still have a couple more slots available. Other than that, go grab that fire within, go recognize your expectations, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Addison Unleashed. Love you guys. Bye.